Welcome to History Mysteries. I'm Sophie and I'm here at the National Archives, the government's official archives, keeping about 1,000 years worth of history safe. Examples include the 1086 Doomsday Book, all the way to and beyond the Titanic telegram of 1912. We've got a bit of a mystery for you to solve today about one of our documents, so let's go inside and speak to one of our records specialists. I'm here with Vicky Igliakowski-Broad, who's one of our record specialists. We've got loads of record specialists though, so what is your specialism, Vicky?
So my specialism is diversity in our collections, so often things like gender identity or sexuality.
Brilliant. Okay, so that gives us a little bit of a clue what we're looking at today. We've got one box in front of us, loads of boxes behind us, and I imagine quite a few up in the repositories as well.
Yeah, so we actually have 16.5 million documents, a vast, vast collection.
This one, probably quite special, of all our 16 million we've chosen to show you it today. And they're all kind of organised by code, but this code, I don't recognise this one. Prob.
So prob actually relates to probate.
Okay.
So that's the process after someone dies, where their wills are administered.
All right, and this one, box 6,000. So I imagine there's quite a lot of those probate
There
documents.
are a lot of wills in our collection. So we have over 1 million, and these are actually original wills, so they're really special.
All right. So you said we've got 1 million. Obviously, this one in a moment is very famous, but have we got any other famous wills?
Yeah, so we have wills relating to William Shakespeare, Jane Austen, Henry VIII.
All right, and one more inside this one, so let's have a look. So our will here, it's got the name, I assume, of the person who's going to pass away, Anne Lister, April 1841, and then it looks like it's been written in York as well. So we've got the first page of the will here. This is the last will and testament of Anne Lister of Shibden Hall, the parish of Halifax in the county of York. And in here, obviously it's a will, so I imagine we're going to see people that are quite close to her. She's leaving things behind to. And one name I'm spotting straight away that just keeps being repeated. Anne Walker.
Yeah, we've got another one there.
Anne Walker. And down here as well, there's another Anne Walker. Who is Anne Walker?
This is the last will and testament of me, Anne Lister of Shibden Hall, in the township of South Aram, in the parish of Halifax, in the county of York. I give and devise all my estate called Shibden Hall, and all and singular the messages, farms, lands, tenements, and real estate, whatsoever and wheresoever, unto my friend, Miss Anne Walker, who is now living with me at Shibden Hall.
So at the time, it wasn't easy for women to describe themselves as in same-sex relationships or describe romantic relationships. But we can see in this document that Anne Walker is mentioned very high up in the record and a key person that Anne Lister is leaving items to. Yeah,
because I can see it says, my friend Miss Anne Walker, who is now living with me at Shibden Hall. So they clearly had quite an intimate relationship. They're living together. Is she leaving Shibden Hall to Anne Walker?
Well, actually, what she's doing is giving her a lifetime inheritance of there. So Anne Walker is then able to live at the property and use the land for the remainder of her life. But the actual property stays within the Lister family.
So it seems like wills are very important for people in same-sex relationships to kind of legally show their love for someone else.
Yeah, they're a really important way. There wasn't the same ability to marry or show love for each other. So wills were a way of showing the importance of someone in their life, but also kind of protecting them, giving them property and money.
So we're on the final page of Anne Lister's will here. It's kind of got her closing statements, I suppose. And there's one part written in really, really tricky legal language. But I think what it's kind of saying is that if Anne Walker is to marry, she will lose the property. And it says, as if the said Anne Walker should have then departed this life. That seems really harsh to me. What's that all about?
Yeah, it is a very odd phrase, but actually we find it's not uncommon in wills from this period. We could see it as maybe being protective of Anne Walker. or protective of the family home, Shibden Hall, which was really important to Anne Lister.
So is the fear there that if Anne Walker is to marry, the Lister home, Shibden Hall, might end up with another family?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about keeping this really important property with the family and making sure it's still cared for and looked after right.
We've got Anne Lister's signature, which is amazing, but then also next to it, what is this big black splodge? What is that?
So what we have, as you know, is Anne Lister's signature, but next to it, her personal seal as well. So Anne Lister here is with her signature and her seal, basically saying that she approves of everything that's in this content and it's what her wishes are.
Thank you so much, Vicky, for looking through the will with us. You've given us such brilliant insights into, their importance. I don't know, I want to find out more about Anne Lister, so what would you recommend doing next?
Well, I think we've seen a lot here that Shibden Hall is really important to Anne Lister, so I would recommend going there next.
Okay, I think we're going to have a trip to Halifax then. We're here at Shibden Hall, the 600-year-old estate, eventually owned by Anne Lister. Now, it originally belonged to her uncle, James Lister, but he was childless. So when Anne Lister's two younger brothers died, she became the heir. She went about making some changes to the estate though. She added a buttery on the east wing right here, and she added a Gothic tower on the west wing up here. And my favourite thing that she added, you can't actually see, was an underground tunnel that went all the way along the estate so that she wouldn't have to hear her servants. You might be wondering how she paid for all this. It was thanks to her very wealthy heiress partner, Miss Anne Walker. We're in the study where at this very desk Anne Lister would have managed her estate. That might have included the properties she owned in town, the shares she had in canals and the railway, and even a coal mine that she had opened on the estate. But it's next door that was the real heart of the house. This is Shibden Hall's grandest room, the house body. You can see these amazing stained glass windows, which were a real sign of Anne Lister's wealth, as glass was really expensive at this time. Now, it's not the only thing she added to this room to kind of show her wealth and her high standing. She knocked out the ceiling and she added these Tudor beams you can see up here. And we can spot Anne Lister herself in this portrait. On one side of her is her Aunt Anne, and on the other side is her Uncle James that we mentioned earlier on. You might spot she's dressed in black. She's looking quite macabre, which would have been quite strange for the time, as a young unmarried woman was expected to wear white as a sign of purity. So that's just another way that Anne Lister was rejecting Victorian social norms. Another addition that Anne made to the house body was this new coat of arms called the Lister Lion. It's got 3 stars along the shield and a big, bold, proud lion on it. Above me, she's added a motto as well, Justice, Propositi, Tenax, which means just and true of purpose. Beneath the corners of the motto, we can see that Anne added her initials, A and L. It was in her personal study that Anne Lister wrote her famous diaries. Her relative in the 1880s discovered them in the walls of this house. Upon cracking the code, he was told to burn them. Thankfully, he didn't. They were a mixture of crypt hand and plain hand, and they revealed the details of her same-sex relationships. Lister's bedroom is much smaller and more intimate than some of the other chambers in the house, but I think she chose this room for a reason. There's a small door in the corner, and it actually leads directly through to the guest room. This means that Anne and her partners could discreetly visit each other without anyone knowing, including Miss Anne Walker. So we're here at the West Yorkshire Archives Service. I'm with Ruth. Hello. All right, so we are looking at Anne Lister's diaries today. Is this it?
This is just one of Anne Lister's diaries. There's actually 24 of what we call her main journals, and then she also has some earlier smaller notebooks and loose pages, and then 14 travel journals, which she used to take around the world with her.
Okay, so she's quite a prolific writer, writing quite often.
Oh, absolutely. I think the diaries are 5.6 million words altogether.
Well, for reference, everyone, Samuel Pepys wrote about 1.5 million, so she's written 5 times as much as the man who recorded the Great Fire of London. She's writing nearly every day.
Pretty much every single day. Occasionally she'll miss a day, but she tends to leave gaps so she can go back and fill those days in, but sometimes she forgets.
All right, and just before we actually look at it, because how does she write these if it's in code?
So a sixth of the diaries are in code,
yeah,
and the rest are in what we call her plain hand.
Okay, all right, we've got it here. I can see on the front there's a code, SH. What does that stand for?
So that is our reference number, so that stands for the Shibden Hall collection, because we have the archives for Shibden Hall.
Brilliant. Okay, and this we've got 13th of January 1833 to the 9th of March 1834. So from my knowledge, that's a pretty important period in terms of her relationship with Anne Walker.
Yes, they make some big decisions in this diary.
Okay, let's open up. Let's see those big decisions. Okay, I can see the binding already.
Yep. Yeah. So this is what one of Anne's diaries looks like. All of Anne's diaries are sort of over 184 years old, because she died over 184 years ago. The reason why they look so good is because of our conservation department, who have conserved them.
All right, so let's open it up. Yeah, what's going on inside? So I can see already, yeah, some of this is written, well, her handwriting, I can't read it, it's not very legible.
So her plain hand, so the stuff not in code, is sometimes a lot harder to read than code, because she would write quite heavily in abbreviations, so she wouldn't write the full word. So sometimes it's quite hard to work out what she actually wanted to say. Okay. But yeah, and then you can see the code in passages like this as well.
Yeah, and do you mind if I turn a page? All right, so I'm seeing some of that code coming up. There's some up here. Yeah, she's really adding in, I mean, it's neat, but she is adding in her thoughts afterwards, yes, you can kind of tell.
I'm always amazed by how straight her lines are. I certainly couldn't write in a straight line.
No ruler in sight to help her either, doesn't it, like? Wow, okay. Well, I know you had a page in mind that you wanted to show us, so.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I'm noticing as we go through as well, lots of underlining.
Yes, Anne would underline very important things that meant a lot to her that she might have wanted to go back and read again.
So we said lots of it's underlined. This page is full of underlining, and sometimes not just even one line, but 2. Down here, loads of crypt hand, loads of underlining. What's happening there?
So this is sort of recounting a conversation that Anne Lister had with Anne Walker about sort of committing to each other and potentially changing their wills to include each other in them.
Okay, that's really nice. Yes, we looked at Anne Lister's will earlier on, so Anne Walker was doing the same.
They certainly had a conversation about it.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. And it goes on, so they've not only established this will, a nice legal way of kind of solidifying their relationship, I guess. They've gone on again, and Anne Lister's gone on again, and she's underlining even more over here. Does something else happen in their relationship?
Yep, so we're sort of 2 days later on the 12th of February, they're having a little conversation, which is, again, underlined twice because it's important to Anne, about exchanging rings with each other.
Ah, so exchanging rings. Marriage?
I mean, that's the common way of marking a marriage, and they were thinking that's what we want to do.
Yeah. So did they go on to have a service for that at all? Or?
On the 30th of March, they went to the Easter services at Holy Trinity in York, and they took the sacrament together, and they saw that as a blessing of their union in a church.
Yeah, because I know that's been referred to, I think, as like the first recorded lesbian wedding.
Yeah.
And this is them almost making plans for that.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow.